Heck yeah. Heck yeah. Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. This is your host, Joaquin Thompson, coming to you live from the great Northwest, Seattle, Washington. And this is my 60th episode. My name is Joaquin Thompson. I'm the host of the Daily Bread Radio Show. And we're coming to you live from, normally I would be saying Snellville, but like I said, we're coming from the great Northwest. We're coming from Seattle, Washington. Got my, Shaquem Griffin jersey on. Had to get down with the locals, see what's happening out here, man. But the only thing I can say is, Seattle is just, it's incredible. If you haven't been, you need to come. I mean, I've only been out here a couple of days, and it's just an incredible city, man. I mean, the life, the vibe, the people, the food, the atmosphere, not just the touristy things like the Space Needle and, CenturyLink. That's cool and all, but it's a bunch of other places where things are going down at, man. And it's a super cool place. And I'm really, like, when I get back to Atlanta, I'm trying to double my income because I gotta have me a spot out here. So came out here, a real good friend of mine is getting married. So kudos out to Tiffin and his awesome bride, Patricia. So we out here kicking it with them, and they showing us around town, showing us what it is to be, out in Seattle and doing our things in Seattle. So we just loving life. So tonight's episode, the other thing too about tonight's episode, this is our 60th episode. Like 60. This is our 60th episode. And every week we get closer and closer to 100. And our 100th episode is going to be it's just going to be super crazy. So, but the thing about, the 100 is going to take care of itself, but just each week getting to another milestone, 60, then 61, then 62. So a lot of times we get too far ahead of ourselves and not celebrate the milestones that we already hitting. So shout out to my frat brother, Q Rages. The Sixes are doing it. And I appreciate you joining me, Vince, and Pat Farmer, doing one of your numbers. You was joining from Virginia Beach. Now I'm doing the show from Seattle because, like I said, I'm not gonna miss no weeks of doing this show unless something comes up and I'm just not able to do it. I'm not physically able to do it because other than being physically able to do it, I'm doing it. I don't care if I'm in China. I don't care. That was the first thing I thought about when I was coming out to Seattle was like, what's the time difference? Like, so I've been setting my watch since yesterday to make sure that I was on time for the Daily Bread Radio Show tonight. So got a bunch of topics tonight that we want to talk about. A couple of things that related to life and related to living, but also everything ties back to personal finance. So for those of you that are joining the show for the first time, the Daily Bread Radio Show is a show about personal finance. And it's a show about personal finance from a spiritual perspective. Notice I didn't say from a religious perspective. We don't do religion on the Daily Bread Radio Show because people get too caught up in Baptist, Methodist, Pentecostal, all these different religions. And really religion is something that man brought into the mix. So we just try to keep it real streamlined, real pure, and just say from a spiritual standpoint, because from a spiritual standpoint, that means you're just talking about God. So every week that we come on here, we're going to definitely be talking about God and what he's doing for us and how he's blessing us. But from a spiritual standpoint, but we're not going to get into, Hindu, Christianity, Buddha. We're not going to do all that because when you look at it, everything comes to one point at the top, and that's God. So we do the show from a spiritual standpoint, but what we like to do is make sure that everything that we talk about, every topic that you can talk about in life, whether it's a marriage, like I said, I'm out here for a very good friend of mine. They get married, whether it's a relationship with your children, whether it's your employment status. You might work for someone, or you may be an entrepreneur and have your own, company. Doesn't matter. Everything that you do, clothes you wear, car you drive, the things that you're planning for your future, your retirement, investments, putting kids through college, everything that you do, is nothing that you do is not tied to personal finance, even to your final expenses. And we've talked about that on previous shows. Even in your final expenses, something was to happen to you, heaven forbid, but that's a part. A part of living is transitioning, right? Because all of us gonna get to a point, and all of us have an expiration date. So when we get to the point we had an expiration date, if we've taken the time to be very good stewards of the blessings that God has given to us, then we will be in position to take care of our final expenses, take care of all of the final activities that need to be addressed, and not be relying upon our kids, our siblings, someone else to come in and say, oh, we need to, get some money together. We need to pass that. No, none of that. People who listen to the Daily Bread radio show, these are people that I'm starting a new group. It's called the Breadheads. So if you're listening to the show, if you're on the show, if you a friend of the show, if you're telling people about the show, you're a breadhead. I mean, just point blank. And what's a breadhead? You might be asking yourself like, well, what's a breadhead? A breadhead is somebody who's taking the time to be conscious about their personal finance. It's not saying we at a certain level. It's not saying, oh, this person has a 800 credit score. It's about a person taking the time to be focused on their personal finance. Somebody who's interested in improving their situation. And to be more specific, someone that's trying to improve their situation incrementally, day by day, day in and day out, week by week, month by month, year by year. So that way you're not being stagnant or moving backwards. Because if you're not moving forward, you're moving backwards. Everything. If you're not moving forward, you're moving backwards. That's just the way it is. So, tonight's show, I had a couple of topics I wanted to talk about, maybe like 3 or 4 different things while we out here in Seattle. And I think they're relative to us being in Seattle. And the first thing that I wanted to talk about tonight was just the importance of being specific, right? Because a lot of times when we're doing things in life, we say different things ourselves, but we're not being specific enough, right? We're saying things like, I want to be rich. Okay, you want to be rich. I'm hungry. Okay, you hungry. I want a bigger house. Okay. I want my credit score to improve. Okay. But that's not being a breadhead, right? Breadheads are getting to the point where I want you all to be specific. I want me to be specific, because everything that I share with you all, that me being the host of the show, I have to hold myself to that same level of accountability as well. So when I say be more specific, I'm saying to myself, I want to have 1,000 new members that are part of the Daily Bread community within the next 12 months, right? 1,000, let me write that down. 1,000 new listeners next 12 months. Now, why is that important? That's important because when we start setting goals and being specific, when you're specific about something, you don't say, I want a new house. You want to say, I want a new 5-bedroom, 3-bedroom, with 5 bedroom, 3-bathroom, 3-car garage. I want it to be a 2-story on a basement. I want granite countertops, stainless steel appliances. I want a master on main. I want fireplaces in the bedroom. I want a fireplace in the living room. I want a large, family room where I can entertain guests. I want it to be an open floor plan, and I want to start the construction within the next 12 months. I don't want the price to exceed $550,000, and that's it. That's enough specifics to wrap your mind around, right? So now when I say that, and the second step to that is you got to write that down. So somewhere I got to go and write that down. All of those things I just shared with you. If it's a house, if it's a credit score, same thing. I want to improve my credit score by 75 points within the next 90 days. I want to remove any errors from my collection or from my credit report. I want to remove any collections that I have on my credit report. I want to commit to reviewing my credit report, not every year. I want to be reviewing my credit report every 3 months, every quarter. Just like the way other businesses manage their business, you want to manage yours the same way. I want to be looking at my credit report every quarter. So that way I can pick up errors. I can pick up things that I paid off, things that I said I want to pay off that I haven't. I want to make sure that any outstanding accounts that I have, that they are timely, that I don't have any late payments. That's being specific, right? Because you want to get away from just saying things just to be saying them, right? But when you want to get into specifics, and the thing about being specific is this: when you start being specific, your subconscious mind, because you have to write it down too. So when you write it down, I'm gonna give you all examples. Many of you all, well, let me see. Vince is old enough to remember this. Pat is old enough to remember this. My wife, my lovely wife Tanya, she's in the green room. She's in the green room. We in Seattle. That's what's behind me right here, the green room. But you all are old enough to remember this. And I'm gonna give you an example of why it's so important to write down things and to write them down repetitively. My son is on. Shout out to my son. I have to say the big king now. He's the big king. I can't say the little king. He'd get on me if I say little homie, little king. He's a grown man. He's 26 years old, doing his thing. But I see you on, and, much love to my son as well. But here's the example. When I was a kid, if I did something wrong, and they did this in school, if I was a kid and I did something wrong, like say I was talking in class, right? And the teacher said, hey, stop talking in class. And I kept talking. You know what they would tell me to do? You know what my assignment was? I had to take out a sheet of paper and write 100 times, I will not talk in class. I had to write that down 100 times. I will not talk in class. Put that down, that 100 times, what did it do to my subconscious? Subconsciously, well, first of all, once I got through writing it down 100 times, and I got the feeling back in my head. The second thing was subconsciously in my mind, after writing something down, the same thing 100 times, then in my mind, when I came to class the next day, it just reverberated in my mind over and over and over. I would not talk in class. And guess what I did? I didn't talk in class. So I'm saying that to say you could use the same concept now that we're much older, much more advanced. You can use the same concept. You might not have to write it down 100 times, but if you don't write it down, then it's not being specific. That's a wish. That's you wishing for something. Like me, I'm saying, hey, I want to get me a summer place out in Seattle. So I got to write that down. And I can't just say, I want to get a summer place. I got to be specific. It's just me and my wife. So I figure in Seattle, a two-bedroom condo on let me look up here and see, at least the 20th floor minimum. 2-bedroom condo, 20th floor, overlooking Seattle. I could do, let's go 2,000 square feet. Let's go big, we dream. 2,000 square feet and overlooking, I guess this is the bay, overlooking some water. And I need a boat. I need access to a boat, maybe probably 20-footer. This enough, like I said, me and my wife, some friends. So we got the 2-bedroom condo in Seattle, overlooking the water, 2,000 square feet, 2 bathrooms, large master bathroom, and that's it. But why you dream? Why I got to be on the 24th? I might as well say the penthouse, right? So that way, if I say the penthouse and I don't achieve it, I'll end up on the level right below the penthouse. So that's being specific. And that's something that once I came out here and saw it, that's going to be in my mind, and I'm going to do it. I'm doing that. You can write that down. I'm doing it. I'm giving myself 36 months. Within the next 36 months, I will have a residence in Seattle. Might be just a summer home, might be a second home, but it's going to be something that I'll be able to say, me and my wife have a residence in Seattle that we can come out and just kick it or rent it out or whatever, but we'll have a spot here. That's on me. I'm writing it down and I'm gonna make it plain so that way, as I'm working on different things when I get back to Atlanta, I'm gonna be on a major grind. So being specific, you have to be specific, especially when you're talking to yourself. So let's get away from that improving credit score, being rich, I want more. And I was sharing another story with my wife about, I was in the subway all of us have experienced it. You go in the Subway, they ask you what sandwich you want, and you routinely, you go into like automatic, oh, I want wheat bread, I want the tuna, I want lettuce, I want tomatoes, I want onions, I want bell peppers, I want cucumbers, salt and pepper. That's it. I went in, and it was a brother that was standing in line before me, right? So he was ordering, and at first he was doing the regular, yeah, I take wheat bread, having tuna. But when he got down to the part where he was able to be specific, and I had never heard anybody order a sandwich like this, but this was deep. He said, so the guy said, what do you want in your sandwich? He said, I want lettuce, I want tomatoes. No, he said, I want lettuce, I want spinach, I want 6 tomatoes, I want 5 cucumbers, I want 8 jalapenos, I want 7 banana peppers. And I was like, my first mind was like, oh, really? Like, why you? But then when I thought about it again, I was like, wow, if he's being that specific about a sandwich, imagine what he's doing in his personal life. So he's not looking at his money saying, I want to be rich. He's saying, I want to increase my profit margins by 10% year over year. Meaning I want to make 10% more profit this year than I did last year. So what does that mean? That means that he's tracking how much he made this year, and he's going to be tracking what he made next year. And then he's going to look back. He's going to do a look back and see, did he make 10% more profit? Did his margins increase by 10% year over year? Where do you get that from? That's business. That's business 101. That's what all businesses do, right? Because that's why they're in business. They're in business to make money. So you have to be able to look at things. Uh-oh, Pat said that's how she orders. So Pat, we're gonna have to have you on the show, because I don't order. Before I seen that, I was like, give me some lettuce and tomatoes. But now when I go in, I feel compelled to say, give me 5 tomatoes, give me 4 banana peppers. I don't know if I can order 3 pieces of lettuce, but whatever it is, it's gonna make exactly precision, specifics, precision, specifics. That way, if you don't do exactly what you say, then you know how it's coming out. If it didn't come out exactly the way that you want it, then you can measure it, right? It's like all this building is going on out here. And when people are they building houses, they don't start out and build a house and just say, we're going to build a house. How many walls? How much insulation? How much wiring? How much cement is going to be in the foundation? How long is the driveway going to be? How tall is the house going to be? How wide is the house going to be? So you got to do the same thing as you building your house. First thing you got to do is draw that blueprint out, the proverbial blueprint. So that way you'll know what it looks like when you say, not I want to be rich, but when you want to make 10% year over year, you'll know what it looks like next year. So that way when you go back and you look at it, you'll say, wow, I made 200,000 last year. This year I made 240,000. But if you ain't tracking none of that, if you just making money, spending money, paying bills, when you look back in 2017, you have no idea if you winning or losing. So you got to be able to be specific. I like my son say, precision. That's the key. That's the key to everything. And not for us to have efficiencies, right? You want to be efficient because you want to be efficient with your time and your money. Those are 2 things you definitely want to be efficient with, time and money. Because if you're not efficient with your time, you'll look at a weekend and say, oh man, I'm off all day Saturday, I'm off all day Sunday, I'm gonna just watch rerun of Power, and then I don't know, maybe cut the yard, I don't know, maybe go to the cookout, I'll see what's up, my brother called me and my sister, my aunt, and then before you know it, it's Sunday night, you're like, man, I gotta go back to work. But if you go into the weekend and like, look, I'm cleaning out that spare bedroom. I'm taking all that stuff to Goodwill. When I finish with that, I'm going to have me some lunch. I'm going to go meet my friend, boyfriend, girlfriend, aunt, uncle, niece, son, daughter, whoever. Meet them for lunch. Spend a couple hours with him or her. I'm going to come home. Me and my wife are going to go out to the winery. Like if I was out here in Seattle, going out to the winery, we're going to spend the rest of the afternoon. Then you get things done, even in your personal life. So that's something that I think is very important, is to be specific with the things that you do. That way you can get and achieve things a lot quicker. And then your goals are going to come out the way that you anticipate them to coming out. And the other topic that I want to talk about this evening evolves around exposure, right? Exposure. And I think that's something that's very important, because it's one thing to dream, and we talk a lot about on the Daily Bread about having dreams and goals and aspirations, but it's one thing to dream and say, man, I want to be, I want to live in a penthouse, or I want to have a view from such and such, but when you go and see and experience different things, because you can do it in your mind's eye, or you can read a book and imagine, like, I can imagine what it looks like to be in Greece, but I've never been to Greece, right? I've never been to Italy. I hadn't been to Seattle, right? I've been to Seattle a day and a half, 1 day and a half, 1 day and a half, 1.5. And in 1.5, I've been to 4 restaurants, no, probably 5 restaurants. I know I'm gonna be working out when I keep I've been doing some crazy stuff as far as eating, but I've probably been to 5 restaurants in Seattle, couple of cigar spots. This is in a day and a half. I've only been here a day and a half. I got off the plane and we went straight and got straight to it. But the exposure to these things, the places that I've been in the last day and a half, the things that I've seen, the people that I've seen, right? I mean, like I said, my good friend, he's living out here, they get married. He's like, man, let me show you something. Him and his fiance, like, man, let me just take you through we just gonna walk through the parking garage. This will inspire you. I said, no, I don't know. But we go through the parking garage. These cats got Bentleys. I mean, whatever you want to see is down there. I mean, just we just walked through the garage before we came up to this rooftop, right? That's where I'm brought. I seen a McLaren, bro, an orange McLaren just sitting in. I was like, God dang, an orange McLaren just sitting in the garage. So I'm saying all that to say it's not always about materialistic things, right? But I've seen some views, like this view that I have right now from this rooftop. I've seen some views of the city, and I'm gonna give you all a shot of that in a few minutes, because I know that we've been having, like, the sun is just starting to set. It's only like about 5 o'clock out here, a little after 5, about 5:35. But I'm gonna give you all a view just of the skyline. You can see the Space Needle. You can see all the different water. I'm from Florida and Georgia, so the main tree in Florida and Georgia is like pine trees. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. But you come out here, it's spruce. It's like a whole bunch of Christmas trees. You know what I'm saying? It's just totally different. So in my mind's eye now, when I go back to Atlanta, I fly back to Atlanta, in my mind's eye, I'll be able to remember what I saw, and I can attach to that. Because now I can see, like, shoot, he had the orange McLaren. I need to put that black one in play. I would love to have a black McLaren in play. I seen this penthouse over here. They on like the 22nd floor. Oh, I'm gonna put that in play. 2,000 square feet, 2-bedroom, open floor plan, overlooking the water, and I got my boat, and I'm in Seattle. That's what I'm doing. It's in my mind, so I don't have to imagine it. I've seen it. I've touched it. I felt. I ain't touched the car. I ain't touched nothing like that, and I ain't touched these penthouses up here. But in my mind, when I walk by it, and they're gonna have an open house, so guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go and act like I'm an interested buyer, which I am. I'm not buying today, but I'm gonna take a walk through just to see what it's like. So when I'm walking through it and I'm looking at the bedrooms, the bathroom, I'm being exposed to this. In Seattle, just to bring everybody up on game, right? And this is something I didn't even realize. Seattle is one of those cities that's so old and so rich in history. All of these them 5 restaurants I went to, all of them were established between the oldest one, we went into the seafood restaurant yesterday. They were established in 1890. The oldest restaurant we went into today was 1935. All 5 of those restaurants was established between 1890 and 1935. This is 2018. This is 2018, and I'm 51 years old, and it took me to 51 to get to Seattle one time. So just imagine when I bring my grandkids out here at 6, 7, 8, 9, and they get exposed to that, right? I bring my kids out here at 25. That exposure does everything. That's the real education in life. Then you can wrap your head around different things and not be talking about, I wish, I wonder, I think, I dream. Because you could be imagining, because I was imagining one thing in Seattle, but I wasn't imagining this. I sure was not imagining this. And this has exceeded my imagination. So now I'm super hyped, super motivated. Things are going on in my life. I'm like, I want to get all these things lined up so that way I can experience more of it. Sandy Pruitt, I see you. Shout out to you. Pat Farmer says she's at the gym right now listening on the treadmill. That's when I got to get on the treadmill. Look, I'm going to be like this next week. But this week, boy, I done turned into the tick. Boy, I'm like, oh, my goodness, I'm eating up everything. I'm like, boy, I'm putting a dent in the seafood industry this week. I'm definitely putting a dent in it, but enjoying myself. But exposure, make sure that you're getting out and you're doing some things to get exposed to some different things in life. And you're never too old. Don't play that card. Don't play the I don't have the money card, because if you think about it, instead of spending money on things that really don't matter, right? Like I always say, jewels and shoes and, oh, I had me a pair of Gucci loafers. And I'm like, for a pair of Gucci loafers, let's say Gucci loafers probably worth $500, $600, right? You can go get you some Gucci loafers, but for that same price, you can get a round trip ticket to Seattle or to a place of your choice and go and get exposed. And I guarantee you'll get more out of it than a pair of Gucci loafers. Because the only thing gonna happen with the Gucci loafers is a couple people gonna be like, oh, them some nice Gucci's. And that's it. And then you're gonna think about it 2 or 3 times after that. And that's it. But if you go and get exposed to some stuff and go and eat at 5 restaurants, and no, you don't have to do 5 restaurants. You don't have to do 5 restaurants and a half, but just put that exposure in play. I ain't never been to Yellowstone. We got national treasures right here in the United States. How many of you all have been to Yellowstone National Park, Grand Canyon, the Great Smoky Mountains? A lot of that's, Alaska. How many people been on an Alaska cruise? If you ain't done none of that, what you buying Gucci loafers for and all this other foolishness? You need to be out. Like the bros say, that's what our sayings in our fraternity, be out. Be out. Like, don't be in the house. Don't be hiding from the bros. Don't be avoiding the bros. Be out. Like, I'm out, bruh. See me. I'm out. Whenever you want to see me, because I'm out. Same thing in life. Be out. Be out. Like, I ain't doing all this foolishness. I ain't going to all these clubs. I don't want to go to no party. I want to go on another trip. Where we going next? Cruise? I don't care the mode of transportation. It could be an airplane. It could be whatever. But that's just something, again, that ties back into personal finance. So that way, you're doing things that way. So I'm going to take a minute because I want to make sure I get this in too. So the next topic I want to talk about was the importance of setting up your future, right? Let's do some futuristic thinking here. And I've already touched on it a little bit when we was talking about being specific in your goals. But what we need to do, and this is something I learned in the last week or so, I was doing some work from a real estate standpoint, and some of the feedback in talking to real estate agents about potential clients. A lot of clients, the way the process goes is somebody sees a house or a condo and say, oh my gosh, I want a condo. Yeah, I want to live on it. I want to move to Seattle. They ain't thought about price, what have you. They see it. I like that. I want to get it. And then when they contact the agent, the agent says, you need to go get, the question is, are you pre-qualified? Are you pre-approved? And the majority of people are like, no, I'm not pre-approved. And then the next question is, okay, let me refer you to my friend. He or she can get you pre-approved, and then we can move forward. Then I'll show you some houses, right? Then they go reach out to the mortgage loan officer, give them all of the information. Loan officer runs everything. They come back in a day or two and say, hey, unfortunately, based on the information that you provided, you're not approved in order for whatever you're trying to get, right? So then at that point, what happens? And you could type it in, the chat. What happens at that point? Like, Okay, I'm not approved. But guess what? You still have a desire to purchase a house, a condo, whatever you was trying to purchase at the inception of that, you know, that point when you said, well, let me get, let me buy this house or this condo or this, whatever you was trying to buy. That desire hasn't gone anywhere. But the fact that you're not able to get approved for the loan means that you can't move forward. So my question to you all is this: when you do things like that, that shows that you haven't planned for it. You haven't planned in your future for it. So the thing to do is, the thing that I would say to you, and I just use that as an example. Same thing happens with retirement. I was talking to a guy recently about retirement, and a friend of mine, he was saying, well, hey, yeah, I was ready to retire. He had the desire, he was ready to retire, but he hadn't really made a plan and thought through all of the things that he was going to need in retirement. So then he goes and retires, and guess what? He started to struggle because he was like, oh my gosh, I didn't think about, I wouldn't have this, I wasn't going to be doing that. Because his desire was to retire, but he had made a plan, So one of the things that I want us to start doing as breadheads, because if you're on the broadcast, you're a breadhead. And breadheads do what? We're trying to make sure that we improve our future from a personal finance standpoint. That's what we're trying to do. Breadheads. And we're trying to expose other people to the same information, right? So as a breadhead, the thing that you want to be thinking about is futuristic thinking, right? Futuristic. Because if you work for a company, right? If you work for a company, the company is already thinking 5 years ahead, 10 years ahead. Some of them are already 100 years ahead, right? I heard a guy, one of the executives at Hennessy, and I'm gonna tell you all, I'm gonna use that as an example. I heard one of the executives from Hennessy, the Hennessy family that owns Hennessy Cognac. He was talking about all the different products that they have. Hennessy has a product that they've developed, they're putting in, barrels to be aged right now, a cognac. He said that the cognac the seal on these barrels will not be broken for 100 years. He said in 100 years, we're planning to break the seal and sell 100-year-old aged cognac at this price point. And he gave the price point, whatever it was. And I was sitting there, and so the guy that was interviewing him asked him, was like, how do you even know that the company's going to be around? How do you even know that? He was like, we don't know, but this is our plan today. We're planning to be in position to do this in 100 years. So, of course, we won't be here in 100 years, but we could very well be here 5 years from now, 10 years from now. So while we need to stop making monthly plans, not stop, let me change that. We need to augment or modify or edit the way that we make plans. So it's definitely good to have a monthly plan, but your monthly plan should roll up to your quarterly plan. Your quarterly plan should roll up into your annual plan. Your annual plan should roll up to your 5-year plan. Your 5 should roll up into your 10-year plan. Now, if you don't have a 5 and a 10-year plan, if you just work on monthlies and quarterlies and annuals, you can never get deep enough into the future that you can plan for the things that you want to have, the things that you aspire to have, unless you have a 5 and a 10, at least a 5 and a 10. And really, we should be getting into a 25-year plan, because at 51, I need to be planning for 75, 76. If God blesses me to be here at 75 and 76, I need to be in a position to have all my things in order, that I've used specific goals, things that I want to do, stuff that's going to be paid off, how many houses I'm going to have. I'm going to have one in Atlanta, I'm going to have one in Seattle, I'm going to have one in Duval. I'm going to, do all these different things. But I got to plan for that 25 years in ahead, because a lot of the things that you put into play, it's going to take time. You're not going to be able to just microwave it. Like, oh yeah, I'm going to have $10,000 to buy. No, it's going to take time. You got to just take chunks. Like we used to say, it's reps, repetition. You got to get some reps in. How many balls? You got to get in some reps. You got to get reps in. You got to run reps. You got to run routes. You got to train. You got to eat right. All that's going to get you to your future goal. So one of the things that I'm definitely, as a breadhead, one of the things I'm trying to get everybody on the broadcast to think, the way to be thinking is 25 years from now, where do you see yourself? 25 years from now, I'll be 76 years old. My daughter they'll be approaching their late 40s, right? 25 years from now, my daughter will be 52. My son will be 51. My youngest daughter will be getting ready to turn 50, right? My grandson is 33. My granddaughter is 28. What do I see in my future, right? My wife is older. I mean, what do I see? Like, do I see total, just finances looking good, no debt, no stress? I'm just massages every day, golf every day, cigars every day. No, I guess I can't smoke a cigar every day. But just living good. But I got a plan for that. And as a breadhead, you got a plan for that. So, Papa, I see you on, man. Can't wait till you get out here. Papa said I made investment 4 years ago. Hey, well, that's a good thing. I'm glad you brought that up. So when you get out here tomorrow, I'm glad you put that out there. So when you get out here tomorrow, I want to make sure, man, you just go on, just show me a little bit of love, man. Just show me a little bit of love. You know what I'm saying? So I'm glad that you put them investments in play. But those are the type of things those are going to be the seeds that you plant that's going to keep feeding you 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years, 20. Charlie Lewis, I see you join, man. I need to talk to you, man. I got some serious business that I need to get your input on. Just had some very, very that came into my life, got some life changes. And Charlie Lewis, this is a good friend of mine from Howard University. And he has a great radio show as well. And Charlie, if you want to put the name of your radio show in the chat, I'll blow it out for you as well. But we need to connect. We definitely need to connect. But the thing about that is you want to make sure that you got those 5 and 10 and 15 and 20 year and 25 year goals in play. And make sure you start with the small ones and just build. That's all you got to do is just build on that. So that way you'll know exactly what you want to do, how you want to do it, why you want to do it, who is it going to impact, right? Your family, your kids, what kind of legacy are you going to be trying to create? Because there's no legacy in Gucci shoes, right? I'm gonna just put it out there. Gucci belts, Gucci belt buckles, Gucci bags. There's no legacy in that. It's like none. There's no, because I know my granddaughter, she's 3 years old right now. She tough. She ain't gonna be thinking about no Louis bag. I gotta put some money away for her in case she in case she run in and grab somebody, because she's a fighter, right? At 3 years old, she's like a little pit. So I gotta put some stuff to the side to make sure that in the event that something comes up. But no, I just have a future on a serious note. I got a future plan for my grandkids that they're going to be able to have some things that I'm going to put in play for them as a grandparent that my grandparents didn't have the ability to put in play for me, right? Like one of my friends said, really good friend of mine, I was just, reading one of his posts, and something that he said was profound. He said, every dollar that we earn has the ability to either make us wealthy when we save and invest it, or it can make someone else wealthy when we spend it. And when he said that, I was like, whoa, that's deep. Now that's deep. And I want you all as breadheads to be thinking about that as well. Every dollar, think about that, every dollar. And that's what Rockefeller, I'm talking about John D. Sr., John D. Rockefeller, before they had that big empire, one of his demands of his children was this. He gave them an allowance. And after he gave them an allowance every week, they had to account for every single cent that he gave. Because you got to think, this was early 1900s. So if he gave them $1, they had to account for every single cent. And the younger Rockefeller, when he became of age, he was saying because he had to do that and he learned how to do that at a young age, when he became older and started dealing with dollars and large dollars, then at that point, what he started doing was he made sure he was accountable for every single dollar that he spent. Not just, I got it, I'm gonna just do this and we're gonna go over here. Nah, accountability for every dollar. So that's the thing about, again, tying all of that back into being specific, exposure, right? Having a plan, futuristic thinking, all of those things tie into each other. So that's what I want us to do as breadheads, is just start thinking and create a community. Because I got something that's coming up that's going to be super big, right? I've already seen it. I've been planning for it. And the crazy part is when you plan for things, big things can happen for you in a short period of time. Big things can happen for you in a short period of time. So I have some things that are, you know, in the process of being built. I'm going to wait till they built before I unveil it. I'm not going to talk about it. You know, I'm not going to introduce it to the breadheads because I want it to be fully baked. I don't want it to be like the type of cake where I know the cake going to be good. Then you open the oven and the cake fall. And no, I'm going to give it some time, let it get some heat to it, let it rise. And when I take it out and we put that frosting on it, you're going to be like, oh my goodness, this is what's happening. I'm going to be like, yeah, that's what I was talking about. So just don't think behind the scenes like this is all, you know, laughs and jokes, and this is serious. Because what I'm trying to do, like I was sharing with one of my friends recently, what I'm trying to do on this radio show is this. I'm trying to impact lives. I'm trying to impact lives to make sure that what I'm doing is not just lip service. Like I'm not coming on here every week and just talking about different things, you know, being specific and, you know, having futuristic thoughts and, you know, getting exposed. I don't, you know, that ain't my thing. I don't have a travel blog and no. My thing is I want to be able to help people that need assistance with helping themselves. There's a lot of people out here that's struggling with personal finance. Not only do they struggle with personal finance, but because of their struggles with personal finance, their legacy, like their children, end up struggling with personal finance. Because if you don't know languages, if you don't know certain languages, like being out here in Seattle and seeing this stuff, these people who living up here in this penthouse on the 25th floor overlooking that bay, they got a different language. They speak in a different language than I speak. They speak in a different language. And their children are being exposed to a different language, right? So I know there's levels to this. So what I'm trying to do, the language that I speak, I know I speak a different language than a lot of other people. But what I want to do is expose people to that language so that way when you're not approved for a home loan, when you have a tremendous amount of, could be student loan debt, personal debt, when you've gone through different, you know, life changes, divorces, or, you know, death of a spouse or what have you, and you just struggle, bankruptcy, repos, and you feeling all ashamed and I don't make enough money and the business not working. I want to be a voice of reason, somebody that can come in and help you and have a system and some people that can help you to get out of where you are and get to where you want to be. That's it. That's the only reason I do the Daily Bread radio show. This ain't for me, and I don't get off and know, oh, I got a pot. I do. Now I do tell people, I do tell people I got a radio show, and it goes good until they ask me AM and FM, right? So that's an inside joke with the breadheads. People always hit me up with that. It's like, no, he don't have he don't have a radio show. He has a internet. What is a podcast? So I get that too, and I'm cool with that. I'm cool with, but just know, the only reason I do this is for the people. I do this, and I see my cousin join, Alicia, and speaking to one of my uncles years ago, he told me something else that was profound. My Uncle Billy, I got two Uncle Billies, but my Uncle Billy Lattimore, right? He told me, and he's a serial entrepreneur, and he's done a lot of businesses, very, astute, articulate, hustler. He's one of the people that I love to epitomize because he's a street guy with corporate knowledge. There's nothing more dangerous than that. A street guy with corporate knowledge. Nothing more. The type of person that is going to read the bylaws, read all of the code, read everything, but then if need be, he could take it there. If need be, right? And he told me years ago, he said, the first thing you need to do is put your mask on. I was like, whoa. Just like when you're on a plane, they say in the event that the airplane loses cabin pressure, there's going to be a mask that drops from the ceiling. And they said, put your mask on first before you help or attempt to help anybody else. Put your mask on. Even if it's your kids, right? So I did a little deeper research on that. It's like, Why? If it's me and my daughter, I'm gonna use my daughter for you. If me and my daughter on a plane and the plane loses cabin pressure, why would I put my mask on and not put it on my daughter first? Here's the reason why, and this is a metaphor for life. If I take that oxygen bag and that mask and I put it on my daughter first, yeah, my daughter's gonna be okay. But guess what? It's not gonna do anything for me. So the mask, I gotta put my mask on first so that way I can think. I can continue to get oxygen going in my brain so I can think. And then as I'm thinking, I could save her life, I could save my wife's life, I could save my son's life, I could save my youngest daughter, my grandkids. But if I don't put my mask on first, who am I gonna help? So I'm saying all that to say, with the Daily Bread Radio Show, I got my mask on not every week, every day. I'm looking for a way that I can help people out. And I put some things into place recently that's gonna be a huge mask. It's gonna be like back in the day, like a big gong. You know, you put that mug on, it's gonna cover your nose and your mouth. And we as a group of people, a group of breadheads, we're gonna be able to look back on this and be like, wow, I remember when such and such came into play and it just changed everything. Because I talked to you all last week about this new economy that's going on. It's digital. Everything we're doing now is digital. All of that brick and mortar, and that's gone, man. We're going into a digital age. Means digital revenue, digital income, digital savings. And that's where the world is going. So that's the space that we have to be in and make sure that we're doing that. So with that being said, book of the week. Got a couple of books of the week for you all this week. As I was traveling out to Seattle on my flight, 4.5 hour flight. And one of the things I was thinking about was like, you're going to be on the plane for 4.5 hours. What are you going to do? Because we just talked about what? Taking advantage of time. So I got on the plane. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Got on the plane with these, right? I'm going to share this with you all. This is what I was traveling with on the plane yesterday, right? Got on the plane. That's magazine 1. This is the book of the week. This was magazine 2. I definitely need this, boy, because I've been tearing these restaurants up out here. That was magazine 3. Entrepreneur, Dana. Magazine 4. Kevin Hart on Entrepreneur. Magazine 5. Magazine 6. And 2 of the magazines that I read, I threw them away on the plane because I was already done with reading them. So I took 8 magazines and had 2 books with me on the plane. And what I did was I read the magazines on the way out, and I'm gonna leave you all with this. And I saw a documentary about Maynard Jackson, right? We have to read and research our history. It's imperative that we read and research our history. Maynard Jackson, listen to this. Maynard Jackson was the mayor of Atlanta. He was the mayor of Atlanta for 3 terms. Mayor of Atlanta for 4 years, and then was reelected, did another 4 years. Then he was out of office, then he came back in the early 90s and became, had a 3rd term. Maynard Jackson, listen to this. I'm gonna show you how deep this is. Maynard Jackson was admitted, this is how crazy this is. Maynard Jackson was admitted to Morehouse College. I didn't say Morehouse High School, I said Morehouse College. He was admitted to Morehouse College at the age of 14. I said 1-4. He was admitted to Morehouse at the age of 14. He graduated in 4 years from Morehouse at the age of 18 years old. That's phenomenal. That is phenomenal. That is great. That at 14. At 14, you know how smart you have to be to go and start taking college level courses, not take college level courses, but to finish college in 4 years at 14, 15, 16, and 17. You know the level of maturity that you have to have that's coupled with academic excellence. And on top of that, he pledged Alpha Phi Alpha. He did all of that under 18 years old. Why is that important? That's important because we need to know things like that. So when people say what you can do, what you can't do, what your ancestors have done, what they haven't done, it's important for us to know that information. So I watched this documentary on Maynard Jackson, and it was incredible. It was incredible, the type of things that he did in his life to help other African Americans, not only in Atlanta, but around the world. The things that he was trying to put in place for economic development among African Americans. Powerful. So if you get the opportunity, make sure you check out the Maynard Jackson documentary. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna give you all a little, you see I got my Shaquem. Hey man, I don't even, I don't know about the tweeting and stuff, but I did send a tweet to, let me put my hat on because it's getting a little windy out here, man. I don't want to lose my hat. But in the background, that's it, man. That's Seattle back there, bro. That's the Space Needle. I guess you all can't see it. But right back here, you got the city of Seattle. And then you got all of this. This is Bellevue, Washington. That's crazy, bro. This ain't Duval. You know I love Duval. This ain't Atlanta. Bro, this is Seattle, Washington, man. And they doing it on another level out here, man. It's another frequency. It's just like listening to a radio. It's on another frequency. And what I want us to do is be able to get our frequency tuned in to that level. So that way, when we go out and doing things, because the first thing I thought about was, I got to get me some tickets and come out here and catch the either Seattle and the Los Angeles Rams or Seattle and San Francisco, because I've never been to a Seattle Seahawks game. I've been to Jaguars. I've been to all kinds of, NFL teams, Redskins, Falcons, college games. I've never seen Seattle and CenturyLink playing a rival, San Francisco, when, what's my man name? Damn, I'm tripping, man. Well, anyway, Richard Sherman. That's what I'm trying to say. When Richard Sherman, when he come back to Seattle, he gonna have a chip on his shoulder. He with San Francisco. But it ain't about the game, it's about the exposure. This is all about just exposure and being specific and doing things that's gonna help all of us. So with that being said, I wanna make sure that everybody, and here's one last book that I wanna encourage you all to pick up. This is the real book of the week, because what this one does is, this is the planner, right? It goes from, look, got all my little stuff in there, got my little quotes, stuff over here in the margins, what I'm gonna do. You need you a planner, right? Because all them things you saying you're gonna do, this costs about $10, right? But when you write them down in there, and I say, these are the things I'm gonna do in March, April, May, June, you can come in the middle of the year, get with your tax person, get with your financial planner, get with your estate planner, get with them midway through the year and say, hey, this is how much I made so far. These are the things that I've done so far. These are the goals that I have. This is what's happening. What do we need to do for the second half of the year? Not wait till 2019 when you're ready to file your taxes and everything is done and it's after the 31st, you can't make no moves. No, you're supposed to have those type of advisors in place throughout the year, so that way they can give you advice on things and say, hey, you saying you want to buy a condo in Seattle, you're gonna need to put away, 20% more of your, discretionary income, or you're gonna need to find a way to generate some more revenue, or you're gonna need some more, tax deductions to offset this increase in income that you have coming through payroll. So you might want to get some more, non-payroll related income, either through your investments, things of that nature. So that way you can have those conversations early on. And that's what being a conscious breadhead. Because when you're a conscious breadhead and you're doing it that way, things are just going to happen for you. I mean, it's going to be natural because that's what you do, right? That's how you plan. That's the reps that you take. And then you're going to be able to not only help yourself, but you're going to be able to help your family members, your kids, your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren, right? Because if you took some time out right now and thought about your great-great-grandfather or your great-great-great-grandmother, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to just say, I'm going to use myself. My great-great-grandfather, I have no idea what his name is, right? I know up through my great grandmother, right? But that's pretty much it. So why is that important? It's important for you to know your legacy and your history. And when those 3 generations get away from you, the question that you have to ask yourself is, have you put enough things in place so that your great great grandson or your great great granddaughter will know who you were, what you've done to make their lives better? Because that's what it's all about. I mean, life is for living, right? Live. Don't worry about all that work. Because I ain't been to nobody's funeral yet where they talked about, how they was the manager and how they was the supervisor. Don't matter. At the end, when it's over, when it's said and done, when you've done your task, the only thing that you want to hear is, well done, my good and faithful servant. That's all you want to hear. Well done, my good and faithful servant. That's it. Nobody care about the job, the Gucci shoes, the cars, the clothes, relationships, memories, experiences, exposure. Those are the things that you're going to remember in your latter years. So I want to thank you all for joining the Daily Bread Radio Show, episode 60, coming to you live from the great Northwest, Seattle, Washington. Again, been a tremendous, congratulations out to Tiffin Benedict and his bride, Patricia. We out here to celebrate and witness their union, because that's all everything is about. Births, graduations, people transitioning. It's all about witnesses, because people have to be there to say, I saw it, it happened. Because if you do it without witnesses, people don't know what they don't know what happened. So that's what we out here to do, is celebrate. And I really, from the bottom of my heart, I thank each and every one of you all for joining the show tonight. Charlie Lewis, I'm gonna reach out to you if I don't hear from you. Ashley, I love you. That's my oldest daughter. I love my son. I appreciate you for joining. Frank, Papa, I appreciate you for joining. Skilly, you already know what it is, man. I appreciate you. My cousin Alicia, appreciate you. And everybody else, if I miss you, if I don't see your name on this little screen, what have you, just know that in my heart of hearts, I appreciate everything that you've done and all of the sacrifices and all of the just reminders. The fact that you remind yourself to tune in week to week without me having a commercial or something to remind you. And, like one of my best friend's daughter, like his daughter said, getting your Google game up, I get it. But the one thing I can say I'm doing is I'm taking steps. That's all I'm doing. I'm taking steps and reps, and they can't do nothing but get better. So y'all have a beautiful weekend, and keep dreaming, keep doing your thing. And I'm signing off as the head of the Breadheads. So y'all have a great week, and love y'all. Peace. Rule to the Qs.